What's up, everyone? inplayLIVE podcast, episode number 18. Super excited to be back in front of all of you. For those of you that haven't, please like and subscribe to our channel if you're watching here on YouTube. And if you're listening from Apple Music or Spotify, please do the same thing. I'm here today, Andrew Pace, co-founder and CEO of inplayLIVE, with the other co-founder, Mark Rajman, and he's back, baby!
Let's go.
Our guy, Thomas Ritzker, he's back in business. Super happy to have him here. He went missing for a while.
I took a break. It was very stressful doing podcasts.
Tough life. So what are we talking about today, boss?
All right, well, we got a bunch on the plate. Let's kick it off with the 1-year anniversary of inplayLIVE. Pretty cool.
Congrats.
Good stuff.
Insert.
To celebrate, what do we got going on?
Well, inplayLIVE turned 1 yesterday. We've had an amazing year. I think we're all pretty humbled and honored to have, started the business in the community. And I think, speaking for most people, I think people are pretty thrilled with the community that they've joined. We've done a lot of amazing things. We've released a masterclass for the NHL, the MLB, the NCAA basketball, the NCAA football, the NFL, the NBA. We released a
Aussie Rules football.
Aussie Rules football, yeah. We released a crash course for World Junior Hockey. So we've got a lot of amazing content that we put together. We've donated to multiple charities. We've started the inplayLIVE rewards pool and given over $10,000 back to our members through the rewards pool. And I think above all, huge success stories of members, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, and even a few that have cracked 500,000 of profit. So huge success stories inside of inplayLIVE. But I think ultimately what most people would tell you, I think if anyone can turn a buck in for a friend, a lot of people want to take the money. People are like, oh, if I could just get 10 grand, life would be set. But I think a lot of the people that have money, they say the most valuable thing has been the friendships in the community. So, from my standpoint, I'm just looking forward to, the second year of NCAA football and NFL and NBA and NHL and just doing it all over again.
Definitely. So we got something pretty cool coming up here in a couple weeks. What's happening with the community?
Yeah, we're
Vancouver, baby.
we're doing an event for our members that are in our pro group as an appreciation for our 1 year, and we're just doing a fun community event in Vancouver. We're doing a cornhole tournament, doing a couple barbecues, playing softball, probably have a night out, might be a few cocktails enjoyed, but overall just exciting stuff. Yeah,
Love
I
that.
think
We're going to see the classic twirl from Ritzker over there.
A competitive group of people playing cornhole and softball should be entertaining.
Yeah, and I think our group likes to bet, so I imagine there'll be some side action.
We'll be opening
Get a
up
lot of ones.
a pop-up bookie.
Yes. Yeah. There we need a pop-up, but we don't need a pop-up bookie, but yeah, we will be handicapping every event. I am quite certain of that.
All right, so one of the number one topic that's on the slate, the NFL. We are in the preseason right now, but before we dive into that, let's talk a little bit about fantasy football, because that's right around the corner. It's everyone's probably one of their favorite things about the NFL is fantasy. What do you guys got going on with fantasy this year, both of you?
I think it's just every year fantasies that lead into football, right? You do your draft a month early, you start looking at the players, you start following the news, and you just get so freaking excited about football from it. Fantasy football is a great way to learn about the game, learn about teams, learn about players. So if you haven't done it before, I think it's a really awesome way to learn the sport, learn the personnel, how stuff works, and then just have a ton of fun. And we did the DraftKings weekly fantasy last year, which was a ton of fun. We've obviously got our dynasty leagues and make new leagues with different friends every year. It's just what better way to enjoy a sport? There's no other comparable. I don't think any other fantasy comes close, right? Hockey, baseball, any of that stuff. It's not nearly as engaging as being in front of your screen on a Sunday night with that last guy that you need to score a touchdown, and he does it, and you just lose your mind. Right?
Well, fantasy sports is based on football. People love it so much that they go, okay, maybe I'll try hockey, maybe I'll try baseball. The one thing that I would say about fantasy football, and I mean, you guys know we're all in the three of us are in a league together with 9 other of our friends. I think for me, one of the biggest things is I don't really care about fantasy. It's about the friendship and the entertainment. But I would say to every die-hard fantasy guy, you know the stats, you know the players, you are a dial tweak away from being an inplayLIVE success story.
Absolutely.
With how well you follow the game if you're a fantasy buff, right?
Well, I was talking about this with someone the other day. People don't realize when they're in fantasy, they're betting. Like, without them even knowing it, right? So they might not be active on sports books or have anything really going on in that arena, but, like, if you're in a pool for $100 or a couple $100 or whatever, you're wagering money and you're playing for something, right? So in terms of fantasy, who are your breakouts and sleepers? Whose value's up right now?
You tell me.
Oh, well, I'm to the moon. So we got Darnell Mooney on my radar. He's my breakout sleeper of the year. I'm looking forward to watching that.
What do you like about him?
I like his route running, breakout speed, and he's just everywhere around the field. Like when you watch him run routes, he's jumping, catching the ball like 5-10. Like he's so dynamic. So I just see him on the field, and it just screams out to me, superstar.
He sucked last year.
No, he didn't. He had what was it? I think tied for second in the most like rookie receptions ever. So something like that. I don't know if it was second, but he was up there like top 5 rookie receptions ever. And he cooked Jalen Ramsey. He's Jalen Ramsey's father now. He was open on so many routes. He was overthrown. I think he's a star.
It's Darnell Mooney. You heard it here first. It's his time to shine. He's got a new quarterback. For sure, he's got a new quarterback. We just don't know who it's going to be.
Well, it's an upgrade with Dalton. If Justin Fields hits the field, it's going to be to the moon. Maybe.
Could be interesting.
To the Mooney. The Mooney.
Who do you guys got?
I'm a fantasy wingnut, as you guys know. I'm all over the place. I am excited about Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence. Got him on stash in my roster there, so hoping that he can convert that college magic down in Jacksonville, paired up with Urban Meyer and a bit of a loose division, so could be some exciting football happening there. And hoping he's using his legs a little bit. I think that you don't necessarily associate big, tall, pocket passing quarterbacks with running, but I think he's got some legs, and that's always the key to quarterback points.
So deep value at quarterback. I love drafting quarterbacks late. Obviously if you have Mahomes, if you have Josh Allen, you're thrilled that you have them, but you got to give up a roster spot by drafting one of those guys. So Ritzker's saying pick up Trevor Lawrence late and hopefully get some deep value there. I'm personally excited for the transition that is occurring in the league, in the NFL, separately of fantasy, but as it relates to fantasy. I think one of the most exciting things about what's upcoming is you have some of the worst offenses in the league historically over the last 5 years that are getting an injection of hope.
Yeah.
Now, I want to be very clear. Hope. I think a lot of them are going to suck still, but the Jaguars have a completely new look. ETN, Trevor Lawrence, obvious, right? And great receivers. They drafted Laviska Shenault last year. Chark is hurt right now, but he's got breakout speed. And then they got Marvin Jones. I'm not super high on him, but he's been very reliable in the past. So that Jags offense could be really exciting as a whole. And then, of course, they have James Robinson, who did really well last year. The Jets, Zach Wilson at quarterback. Obviously, the Jets suck year in, year out. They have another glimmer of hope.
New head coach as well.
New head coach, thank God. Oh my God, thank God they have a new head coach. That is big. And then Zach Wilson, and then they got Elijah Moore, and my breakout pick for deep value at running backs, Michael Carter, 3-down back,
wow.
UNC superstar. For any of you that are members of inplayLIVE, we bet a lot of money on UNC and won a lot of money on UNC last NCAA football season. And it was 2 running backs, the two-headed monster that kind of ran that offense. It was Michael Carter and it was Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, I think, is a huge breakout potential, but he's got to beat out Melvin Gordon for the job, so I think he might be a good pick next season. This season, Michael Carter is shining at camp. 3-down back. He can catch, he can run.
Trunks.
He's got
value
trunks.
Up.
Value up. The only downside to Michael Carter, two things. Number one, he's a Jet. Number 2, I think he's like 5'9", He was
Okay.
199 coming into the league. He's 210 now. He's
Isn't
put on
Clyde
some weight.
Edwards-Helaire like the same build?
Similar
Small
build.
guy.
And how did Clyde do last year?
So-so.
He sucked.
Yeah. Well, they're saying he's going to have a big year. But just on your note with the franchises, look at Justin Herbert, right? Comes in, he's that exact pick you were talking about, that late draft pick, and totally changes the franchise.
Yeah.
Chargers are just, I mean, there's huge hopes for them this year, right?
But irrelevant of hopes of their record as a team, if you have receivers on the Chargers, you're pumped. If you have Herbert, you're pumped.
Yeah.
Right? And when could you draft him last year? Like super, super late. So I think Baker Mayfield could be good this year as far as like, people kind of have let him fall because they feel like they know what they're going to get, but he's actually performing really, really well now. So there's potential there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Definitely. How bad, okay, well, let's talk about the preseason. How bad was that Hall of Fame game?
That was a stain.
I was watching the
your
CFL
shirt.
instead of that.
Like going out for dinner and getting a stain on your shirt. That was that Hall of Fame game. It was horrible. It was a horrible advertisement. Everyone was pumped about Najee Harris, one of the other electric rookies, right, coming into the league. But it's the preseason. Everyone gets excited and then realizes the guy's only playing 10 snaps or something, right? But that was a terrible product. They shouldn't have televised it, honestly. Just do the Hall of Fame induction and then call it. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah,
Watching
because
those Cowboys-
you get excited.
Well, yeah, watching those Cowboys backups grind through their progressions was just
They couldn't
traumatizing.
complete a pass for
Yeah.
and it was pretty.
I think there was 4 missed field goals in the game, and one thing that you can this is the thing in the NCAA football, the best kickers don't make the league.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many kickers in the league. So both teams were trying out backup kickers, right? Because it's Boswell for the Steelers, and is Greg the Leg? Greg the Leg, Greg Zerline is still the kicker for the Cowboys. So they had these backup kickers in, and they were missing the uprights by like 40 feet right and left. And those are the best kickers coming out of college. And it was just like, it was so bad. So bad. But I think on that same note, we're talking about NFL preseason still. Okay, there are some. The NFL preseason having not existed last year wasn't a bad thing.
No.
People get excited for it, but there are opportunities from a sports betting standpoint with the NFL preseason. We did make money on that game, believe it or not.
I think there'll be some good. The GOAT's hitting the field this Saturday, so he's going to play a quarter at least.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I think there'll be some decent first quarters. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But other than that, what else we got to look forward to with the NFL? We got a remastered class coming and a bunch of stuff before the start of the season.
Yeah, I think right now, if you're not a member of our community, it's a great time to join because you can learn the concepts right now and then be ready for the NFL. And if you were a member for the last football season, it's there's really no better time.
Betting
right?
in general, though, like what if people are looking to get into just betting for this NFL season, from everything you've seen over the last couple of years, trends and that kind of thing, like what advice would you have for them looking ahead to the start of this season if they were just to like focus on one thing?
Yeah, if you were to focus on one thing, I think it would be don't try to hit the big score. Right? Sundays cater themselves to parlays. Betting in general caters itself to parlays. Ritzker could definitely comment on this one after me because he's gone through quite a transition in the last year having started doing this stuff. I would focus on 1 to 2 games.
There's so many at once. Right?
1 to 2 games where you believe you have a pregame edge and track it. Track it. And see how you do. I promise you, you will not go broke doing that, provided that you have a budget and you stick to, 1 or 2 games and you keep it fun, right? If you're reaching for parlays and, it's like, okay, I missed the morning slate, now it's the afternoon slate. Okay, I missed again, now I'm chasing at the night game. That process happens constantly with sports bettors, and that is what keeps the books in business.
Totally. Richard, what are your thoughts for someone just coming into NFL wagering, betting? If they were, looking ahead and they want to get into it, like based on the things you've learned, like what advice would you have for them?
I think that you have to separate recreational bets and betting to make money, like completely, right? And we've talked about this before in other podcasts about, having a budget for rec bets and things like that. But parlays are absolutely devastating ways to bet because you're just going to keep losing, and chasing bets, right? One of the worst things that people on Sundays do is they bet one team pregame, then they're down at half, they bet them again, then they're down in the fourth quarter, they bet them again, then they double down on the afternoon game because they're down from the morning, and then they double down in the night game. And so it's like that is like, it's like the Mississippi grind, right? Like you just go down the rabbit hole until it's just dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just like money management and picking and choosing your spots and being more selective is definitely going to be something to be smart about. And yeah, I'm just pumped about year 2 IPL, like refining, and I learned even so much, even having known Andrew before that, like in this past year, and like setting goals and having money management is such a big part about betting when you want to do it to make money. I think betting for fun is great, and everyone can do that to an extent, but yeah, just being smart about it, in the NFL especially, it's so easy to get sucked in, right? Sucked into these bets and chase things, and I think that being smart about it and picking your moments is just absolutely the way to go. So.
September 9th, you pumped. I think that's kickoff day, right?
Thursday, yeah.
Is it this September 9th?
It's the Bucks and the, gosh, who is it?
Cowboys,
right.
All right, well, we're getting a little bit out of
Dak's
ourselves.
back.
We got some football that literally just started last Thursday. Some Canadian football. What are our thoughts so far on the CFL?
I've been betting on the CFL for years, so I'd rather turn this one to Ritzker. Have you bet on the CFL much? What was it like for you?
Yeah, week 1 I dove in a little bit. The masterclass, I'll say that I will admit I'm criminally negligent about the CFL up until this year. Like, I didn't know half the rules that you dug up and learned about, and I was like, holy smokes. I think the biggest thing to know about the CFL is it's such a different game.
Yeah.
There's so many different rules.
It's
like, I'd say a dozen or more rules that you're like, whoa, that is so different on how that impacts the flow of the game and whatnot. The big thing that stood out to me is the opportunities when it comes to betting are definitely stand out because the game flows so differently, right? It's very hard because the possession changes are so fast and the field position changes so fast that it's very volatile. Almost like you almost see in basketball a little bit where there's these swings, right? So yeah, I would say that, but yeah, I think that still, with that said, you can't jump in and be too greedy. You have to be selective because otherwise you're going to get caught with your pants down a little bit, right? So
250-yard lines, a luge.
yeah, and it's like, you know, just because there's a game on doesn't mean you have to bet it from the first quarter to the fourth, right?
Yeah.
There's still selective moments where you got to be like, yeah, this makes sense. Okay, this is a good opportunity. Can I profit from this? All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the first thing I noticed because, again, you get that itch, and it's like CFL's on, football's on. Let's go.
It's
right?
football. We'll take it, right?
But yeah, no, it's an interesting game. It is very, very different.
So with all those rule changes that you looked into, dove into, explained, from what you've seen so far, like what are your thoughts on, like, have you taken a different approach to the betting on the CFL from what you did in the past? Or
No,
is it pretty
not at all.
routine as
Not at all.
you-
I would say the CFL is complicated from the standpoint that Ritzker said that it's a different game, but it's the same game year in, year out. So what we saw in week 1 was some really rusty offense,
Big time.
some really low-scoring games.
A couple balls hitting the uprights.
No balls. I don't think we saw any uprights get hit.
No doinks.
Right, but you know,
Right.
couple singles, couple lugy-roogies. From a betting standpoint, 4 games last week, all 4 underdogs covered the spread. 3 out of the 4 underdogs won the game outright. So I talk about this with NCAA football, 2-year break. How do you handicap it when you got all new players that haven't played in 2 years, that didn't have a preseason?
New coaches too. Like,
Some new
yeah.
coaches, some,
Yeah.
yep, and 3 for 4 on underdog money lines in the CFL. So, you know, looking forward to this week. Obviously, we're not doing a ton of pregame at inplayLIVE, but I think the game is great. I would say the biggest detriment to the game is because the product is poor. I'm sorry, folks, the product is poor. Because the product is poor, the sports books don't have a lot of markets, and a lot of major sports books don't even have the games live at all. So that limits us because we like options, we like different things to bet on in the game,
Yeah,
and we like
definitely.
different books offering the same
There's
game.
only 3 products in your store. You want to shop at
Yeah.
Walmart.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. But it was a ton of fun. It's going to continue to be a ton of fun. The timing this year is nothing short of unfortunate, because I love wagering on the CFL throughout baseball season. And the CFL has started, and in 3 weeks, NCAA football is going to be on, and quite frankly, we probably won't follow the CFL that much then, because there's higher priorities. But it's hugely profitable and awesome to bet on if you have the right approach.
And next year it'll be back to its regular rotation, so you'll have the MLB and the CFL going through the same.
Well, yeah, it's really good because the NBA and the NHL playoffs end in June, and by then the CFL's in like full swing.
Yeah.
So you kind of focus on the CFL in June, July, August.
Which is
It's that bridge. NCAA football starts, then the CFL starts to come to an end, right?
Definitely.
So,
speaking about the other sport on big one right now, the MLB, where are we at with that? We got trade deadlines. Where are we at in the season right now?
Well, it's kind of like the turn on the 400 meter, right? It's like that last dash of the playoffs. So you got teams jockeying for wild card. Trade deadline was insane. The Dodgers somehow got better again. They got Scherzer.
Yep.
Like, that's insane. It's criminal. It's like Messi going to PSG, right? Like, how can they possibly get better? But they do. You got teams like the Cubs who are 2 games out of their division and still sold 8 of their starters. But yeah, it's shaping up to pretty tight. That division with the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres is just, that's going to be electrifying. That'll be some fun playoff ball, I think.
you know what's tough is those unbelievable teams that have one game to make it. And I remember the year the Royals won the title.
Yeah.
I think they were down 8-4. I could be wrong. I know they were down 4-0 in the wild card. Sorry, I shouldn't say 4-0. They were down 4 in the wild card game to the Athletics. And they came back, they won that game late, and then went on to win the World Series. So the momentum swing of the wild card game is huge, but also to put your season on the line for a great team like the Padres potentially in one game is crazy, but that's sports.
That's baseball, right?
Yeah.
So playoffs are right around the corner. Is it still they're on schedule more?
Oh yeah, baseball started on time this year, so the playoffs are going to start in September. Playoffs are awesome because you can really just focus on the one game. Baseball is one of those sports where it can be a little hectic when you have all those games on, but we're used to it. But
Yeah. Playoff baseball is different. It's a different game. It's tons of fun.
Definitely. So the Olympics also just wrapped up, and pretty crazy conditions over there. I mean, I think unheard of for a lot of athletes almost ever in Olympic history. What were you guys following?
who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, they had the Canadians won the gold in soccer, but that game was postponed to a 38-degree heat the night before, and then 2 days before that it was pouring rain on the track, and these guys and gals are running like 10,000 meters in the rain on the track. I saw people doing hurdles into puddles. It was insane over there. But
the steeplechase, everything was a steeplechase.
And the rowing, they were saying that the rowing was really windy and gusting conditions. So definitely a test. But I know a bunch of records were broken, so that was kind of cool. It's always fun to watch.
The diving I found is just outrageous to watch. I mean, these divers are almost literally decapitating themselves as they hop off. Like, I had to step back for a second and figure out what was going on.
Getting a close shave on that board.
Yeah, so, I mean, that pretty much wraps up a lot of the sports they're on right now. In terms of, anything else going on in the world of sports?
Well, I mean, the one thing that maybe would be good to touch on is just if Ritzker's doped back here, he's diving in. I know we asked him about what advice he would have for NFL, but I think that as a general statement, the number one time of the year for sports bettors is in 3 weeks. There is no time that the sports books see more money than NFL and NCAA football.
Yeah.
So Ritzker has been candid about his past. I mean, I have too. But I guess Ritzker's more recent change, he talked about change of religion on our first podcast. So any advice that you would have to, let's call them the degenerate bettors of the world. Not saying we aren't.
But even guys and girls in the group who are going around their time the second lap, or people who are coming in for the first time, it's like, I think that it's important to really take it as make a plan, right? And so last year I definitely was more of not 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but just part-time, right? Checking it out, feeling it out, learning a lot. And this year I'm going to go full bore with a plan of attack, with a schedule, with goals, with budget, like everything in place.
Yeah.
And just attack it that way, because I've seen guys in our group do so well by taking that approach, just calculated approach, right? So I think that my piece of advice would just be find a mentor or someone to shadow and just learn from them, right? And just do what they do. Like monkey see, monkey do. It's not like there's not really any magic or like super potion that is causing the success. It's regiment, money management, and just like being selective and not wasteful, right? So I think that would be my biggest piece of advice, is like find someone that you can connect with or look up to in the group or in sports betting, and just follow their lead, and then implement those practices and just get better and better at it, right? So
yeah, I think there will never be a time as a sports bettor where you don't get tested mentally, no matter what your system is, because you can have a note on your fridge that says, I will not chase. You can have a rule where if you lose a bet, you get up and you go for a walk. You can have a rule where you kiss your girlfriend every time you were about to make a poor decision. Some sort of trigger to reset your mind mentally. But even with any system that you have, you will never not face times where you are tested mentally against gambling, against the addictive nature of gambling. And this isn't for inplayLIVE members, this is for sports bettors. I don't care if you're betting the pregame spread, the heavy favorite, the underdog, the total, whatever it is. If you have a budget of how much you're going to allocate to it, whether it's $100 and you're betting $1 bets, or it's $10,000 and you're betting $1,000 bets, which is too high, that's 10% of your bankroll, but it doesn't matter. You have to have that system where you can look back and go, how did I do? Where did I go wrong? Where am I winning and where am I losing? Even if it is for fun. Because if you go, I know a lot of bettors that they go, I do $50 a Sunday, and they probably make a parlay. And they do hit a couple throughout the year, right? Because that's what's so fun about sports betting, is every single person has a winning story. How many people win the lottery, right? Like no one. So everyone has a winning story when it comes to sports betting. Have a system, be able to look back and track what you've done so that you can make smarter decisions going forward. And if you need help, that's what we created this company for. We have all the angles, all the edges, all the opportunities worked out that are constantly tracked and also are constantly changing based on how rules, books, and leagues change. So now's a great time to dive in.
It's like that, when you're on the golf course and you just hack it up all around, you hit that one great shot, and then you're like, maybe I can do this. I'll come back again for the next round.
You got it. You got it.
And like you said, hitting those one parlay. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Awesome. Let's wrap it up there. So, ladies and gentlemen, episode 18, thank you so much for joining.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Season
2, episode 1. Ritzker's calling it, not episode 18.
Officially, season 2.
Season 2, episode 1.
Season 2,
right.
episode 1.
Love
Okay,
that.
right on.
Yeah.
So for joining us today, as always, we do have a promo code for you. You can head over to inplaylive.com, click join now, or click the link below in the description and use the promo code at checkout for the quarterly subscription. Ritzker Podcast, RITZ, Z in the States, KERPODCAST. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you for the next episode. And in the meantime, please like and subscribe. Definitely check us out on Instagram as well.
Let go.
Let's go.